22nd, 2022 meeting of the Human Services Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please read the roll call?
Mr. Blankney.
Present.
Mr. Blankney is present. Mr. Brew.
Here.
Mr. Brew is present. Mr. Vecchio Hoffman.
Present.
Mr. Vecchio Hoffman is present. Mr. Dondorfer.
Here.
Mr. Dondorfer is present. Ms. Hasman.
Here.
Ms. Hasman is present. Mr. Keller.
Here.
Mr. Keller is present. Chairman Milne.
Here.
Chairman Milne is present. Ms. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Smith is present. Mr. Udelson.
Here.
Mr. Udelson is present. President Lamar.
Here.
President Lamar is present.
This is a reminder to all committee members that the microphones should be considered live while we are being streamed on YouTube. The clerk's office is currently working to adjust this and hopes to have it fixed by next month's full legislative meeting. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
We have two speakers. When I call your name, please come forward to the podium. You will have 2 minutes in which to address the committee. Please conclude when the buzzer sounds. First speaker, Christina C.
Hello, my name is Christina Chrisman. I'm the president of the Federation of Social Workers. We are the majority of the members of the Department of Human Services in Monroe County. We have over 700 members that work in various departments such as temporary assistance, Medicaid, SNAP, HEAP, CPS, foster care, the Children's Detention Center. I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm here tonight asking for your help. The department is severely understaffed. We are in crisis mode right now. Our CPS workers have some of the highest caseloads they've ever had. We have case workers managing up to 40 cases right now. Those are intake cases. They have very strict time limits on doing safety assessments. We have obviously a huge backlog of SNAP applications, temporary assistance applications. The work has been reorganized several times over the last couple years to try to manage the high vacancy rates. Workers keep leaving. The union has submitted a proposal to the county asking for higher wages in an attempt to attract and retain staff. We are asking for your help and negotiating with that. We are also asking for your help in coming up with more ways to get employees in. We need to do continuous recruitment. A lot of our positions right now are based on civil service. Some tests are only offered a couple times a year. So we're asking for continuous recruitment for those. Also, some postings are only live for a few months or a few weeks at a time. We're asking for continuous recruitment for those as well. Yeah, our members are struggling. We have a lot of members that are working a lot of overtime, 6 or 7 days a week. We're sacrificing our self-care, we're sacrificing time with our families. And on top of that, with the rising inflation, a lot of us qualify for the benefits that we're dishing out. So we respectfully ask for your help.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Christine H.
When I came to Monroe County in 2014 as an examiner and temporary assistant, I came to the agency with the belief that I would be able to serve the community that I live in, helping people who didn't have the resources to meet their basic needs. I've been privileged to work with some really amazing people like me, who have a passion for helping others. Sadly, of the training class of 20 I came in with, there are less than a handful of us left. The work we do is vital to the health and well-being of this community. However, the majority of us can't afford to stay in these positions. This puts us in a difficult spot. We're forced to choose between what we're called to do, what we love to do, and what we need to do to support our own families. The pandemic has made this choice increasingly more difficult as the price of food, shelter, gas, the ability to get to work every week, pay for childcare because schools are closed, has made it more difficult for us to sustain our own families, our own lives. My team, personally, I work in the Medicaid over 65 team. We work with the chronically ill, nursing home, the population, probably the biggest population affected in this pandemic. We make sure they have coverage. We're there to answer questions. A fully staffed team would have 10 to 12 members, each person having 1,000 clients in our community that we answer to and serve. We're down to 2 examiners who are able to process this $10,000 client caseload to serve them, because we've been pulled in other directions and people have left to go to other jobs that pay better so they could support their families or they could work from home. My biggest fear, one of the things we do, we make sure that these people in our community have the coverage to go to dialysis, go to chemotherapy. We're there to listen to them. My biggest fear is we're going to have one of these members of our community fall through the cracks, miss a dialysis appointment, not be able to make it to chemotherapy, and something tragic is going to happen. And at what point do we think of the cost of human life versus the ability to pay people to help preserve our community? So I encourage this legislature to work with the county to give us a wage that's fair so that we can do our jobs, do what we love, and still be able to support our own families without having to ask for assistance ourselves. So, thank you.
And is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Hearing and seeing none. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the February 15, 2022 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda is new business. Mr. Clerk?
Referral number 22-0093, authorize a contract with Hearing Aid Works Audiology to provide audiology services for Monroe County Community Hospital.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion moved by Legislator Smith, seconded by Legislator Dondorfer. Is there any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Seeing and hearing none.
Referral number 22-0094, authorize a contract with CHE Senior Psychological Services to provide psychological services for residents of Monroe Community Hospital.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second. I have a motion to move by Legislator Dondorfer, seconded by Legislator Brew. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Ms. White.
just a question through you to the administration. It looks like that there's no financial implications for the county based on this contract. I'm just curious, and forgive my ignorance in this space, without that, what's the mechanism or the purpose for bringing it before this body?
Through the chair, the estimated value of the contract exceeds $20,000 even if there is no payment directly to the contractor.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, say. Hearing none.
Referral number 22-0095, acceptance of a grant from New York State Office of Mental Health for the PFC Dwyer Veteran Peer-to-Peer Support Program and amend Resolution 247 of 2021 to extend the contract with Compeer, Inc.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion by Legislator Brew, seconded by Legislator Keller. Are there any comments on this?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, can you tell us if there are any neighborhoods or zip codes that are currently being targeted for these interventions and if the city's involved in any way?
Through the chair, I can get that information and get that to you.
That'd be great. That's it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same.
Referral number 22-0096, acceptance of a grant from the New York State Department of Health for the Health Neighborhoods Preventative Cornerstones Program, formerly known as Healthy Neighborhoods Program.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion by legislator Keller, seconded by legislator Smith to move. Are there any comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor to move, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same. Hearing none.
Referral number 22-0097, authorize a contract with Oasis Rochester for the provision of recreation, wellness, and education services.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by legislator Smith, seconded by legislator Dondorfer. Questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Yusuf.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to ask where these services will be provided. Is this at senior centers or where exactly will they be provided through you to the administration? Thank you.
Sorry, through the chair, could you please repeat the question?
Certainly. Through the chair, just asking where these programs that Oasis will provide will actually take place.
Through the chair, the majority of programs will take place where they are located on Monroe Avenue, the Oasis Agency, which is in Monroe Square in the city of Rochester.
Thank you.
Good. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving this signify by please saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Seeing none?
Referral number 22-0105, confirmation of appointments to the Monroe County Board of Health.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second. We have a motion by legislator Dondorfer, seconded by legislator Brew. Comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, the same? Seeing none.
Referral number 22-0113, amend Resolution 93 of 2021 as amended by Resolution 4 of 2022 to accept additional funding from the United States Department of the Treasury for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, Monroe County Eviction Prevention Pilot Initiative 2.0 as a matter of importance.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by legislator Brew, seconded by legislator Keller. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
Legislator Keller.
Legislator Keller?
Thank you. First of all, my questions and remarks are not in any way not in support of providing assistance to those that are in need of help that may be in danger of eviction. So I'm pleased that we can provide that support. And as a declaration of interest, I myself own residential rental property, though I've not experienced any large losses as a result of the pandemic. But my question to the administration, through you, Mr. Chairman, is there are organizations tasked with managing and distributing this money. Are any of those organizations providing assistance to small businesses, families that own residential real estate property that are being adversely affected?
Through the chair, it assists landlords through payment mechanisms, as you alluded to. We also had one organization that focused solely on landlords. So all of the applications that came through that particular entity were from landlords solely.
Okay, thank you for that. And again, through the chair, which organization was that?
Let me look that up and get back to you through the chair.
Okay, thank you. In a previous meeting of the legislature, I was given that information and passed it on to other people who were experiencing losses, landlords, and that organization was not able to help them. So my request is that perhaps when you provide that information, if you would just perhaps reach out to them and make it clear that there are two sides to this, and that families and small investors, not just large property investors, but there are families also that are suffering from this lack of income. And you know, on a larger scale, the economics here, the investment calculation is really quite clear that if a family is forced to bear a greater risk, then they must, by necessity, raise the rent. And when the market can no longer support that, their only choice is then to leave the market. And that's taking investment dollars from our community, decreasing the number of good rental properties and increasing rent overall. So I'm just imploring you to please use a balanced approach where possible here. These are not all multi-million-dollar investors, but families and small companies that own these properties as well. Thank you.
Through the chair, if there's specific landlords that didn't receive assistance, if you can forward those names, we'll look into those cases. But I do hear you on the larger issue as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Unfortunately, one of them has already sold the property and moved on, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
And are there any other questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, would ask the same. All those in favor of moving this, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, the same? Seeing none?
Referral number 22-0114, amend the 2022 operating budget to appropriate fund balance for the purpose of contracting for public benefit services as a matter of importance.
Move it, Mr. Chairman. Second.
We have a motion by President Lamar, Legislator Lamar, seconded by Legislator Smith. Are there any comments on this? Mr. Yosef.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman. I want to say first that I am familiar with several of these organizations, although not all of them, but I'll make a statement for all of them that I'm not questioning the benefit they bring to the community, but rather the process by which these funds are being awarded. So through you to President Lamar, the sponsor of the motion, I wanted to ask if there was a process for organizations to apply, and is that process still open to other community organizations?
Thank you, Legislator Udelson. Through you, Mr. Chairman, we worked with the legal department over the last couple of months because a lot of the nonprofits that we put in to the original referral the language in the business that they do did not cater to the actual law. So the law department and the administration worked with those organizations to tailor the language so that they would be able to qualify for this. And during that time, other organizations reached out to us to ask if they would also be eligible for this funding. Through the chair.
Thank you, President Lamar. As a follow-up question through the chair, when you say that they reached out to us, would that be your office specifically, or who would that designate?
Through the chair, yes, I did hear from some of, not just organizations, but constituents that own nonprofits in a variety of districts. And the law department vetted those organizations to see if they qualified.
And thank you for that clarification about the work the law department did. My question through the chair was more about how they were selected, and you mentioned that the law department used the measure of being covered by the cruelty to children provision in state law. So through the chair to the president, are we to understand that all of these organizations are involved in preventing cruelty to children?
Through the chair, the funding will work towards preventing or aiding in some of the violence that's happening in the city and give youth opportunities for constructive activities. So through the chair, yes.
And the last question through the chair to the president. This differs from the fund that was created last year to provide money to organizations, and that this is being taken from fund balance rather than being a change to budget. So that obviously can be a concern, and the question would be whether the president envisions further grants like this, and to what extent.
Through the chair, there is an issue in each of our districts where these organizations reside. And just like these organizations were added, each legislator had an opportunity to do the same. Through the chair.
Thank you, President Lamar, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any other questions or comments on this item?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank the administration and the law department for their assistance in preparing this referral. I think that this referral was necessary because of funding discrepancies in last year's allocations. And I think that these organizations the organizations and the community who will benefit from the services that they provide as it pertains to violence and cruelty against children is a necessity in our community. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you, President. I'll ask again if there are any other questions or comments. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just one further thing, thank you for your indulgence. I just wanted to explain my vote. That I have some reservations about the process, and based on the responses from President Lamar, which I appreciate, I'm going to take it on faith that other organizations in the community and various legislative districts will also be eligible or able to apply for this kind of funding in the future and would receive the same consideration. And with that reservation, I will vote to support.
One more time, any other comments? Seeing none. I would ask all those in favor of moving this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the same if there are any opposed. Seeing none. Very good. There being no other, I'm sorry. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Hearing and seeing none, there being no other matters, the March 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Human Services Committee will stand adjourned. The next meeting of the Human Services Committee will be held on April 26th, 2022 at 5 p.m.